everyone, and welcome or welcome back. Today's reading is actually a pretty heavy, in-depth reading. We are looking into your Saturn return, and if you don't know what that is, hold on and I'll explain it in just a second here. But what inspired this reading is that I have been going through my Saturn return. I'm in my late 20s, and I've been feeling the effects of it for a while, and parts of it have been really rough on me. And it's been kind of difficult to come to terms with a lot of the things happening. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with this reading, is help anyone going through it currently to deal with it a little better, understand the forces at work. But I want this reading to be for everyone as well. So if you're younger, you haven't had your first Saturn return yet, or if you don't know what it is, I will explain it. This will help you give insight into where you might be off course right now, so it'll be easier for you when your Saturn return actually hits. If you're older, you've already had your first Saturn return, you can use this to look back, and I'd love some feedback to know if it's accurate. But you can also use this to look into your next Saturn return. So you have another one. Your first is in your late 20s, your second is in your 50s, and your third is in your 80s. But yeah, so I want this to just be helpful for anybody. So I've been in the thick of mine for a while. I started feeling the effects of it when I was 27, and I am about to turn 29 this month, in just like a week or two from now. And I've been feeling the effects for a while, but my actual return is, I think, the very beginning of March is when it makes the actual conjunction. But I have kind of a positive outlook. I'm excited for it at this point. I've had some major tower moments in the years leading up to this, but I think Saturn is going to be giving me some good things. So if you are kind of in the thick of it, if you're in your late 20s and you're starting to feel some effects here, I want this to be helpful for you to understand what's happening, because I would have loved something like this a few years ago. But yeah, anyway, to explain what a Saturn return is for those of you who don't know, your Saturn return is when your Saturn makes its way all the way around your chart back to where it started when you were born. Saturn's a very far away, slow-moving planet, so it takes about 30 years. It's a little different for everybody because Saturn does have retrograde motion sometimes. But yeah, and then when it takes, you feel the effects for several years before and several years after, just because it's such a slow-moving, very powerful planet. But yeah, and because it has retrograde motion, sometimes it can make the exact conjunction multiple times. It's going to be doing that for me, I know that. But Saturn is what they call a malefic planet, like Mars and Pluto. So when it makes aspects with other planets, it can be a bitch. It can wreak havoc, especially if you are off course. Saturn is very much a planet of structure, so if the structure you've built up has been in the wrong direction or the wrong thing, Saturn will not hesitate to tear that down. So that's why so many people say Saturn returns are difficult. Saturn does tear things down. Saturn takes things away. Saturn gives you tower moments, but they are positive ones. It doesn't always feel like it in the moment when Saturn's ripping things away from you. But ultimately, Saturn's doing it not to be a bitch, but to help you. Saturn is trying to put you back on the right course. So that's what I want this reading to be about, is to help you understand why Saturn's taking things away from you. But another thing Saturn does is it brings in blessings as well. Okay, so your Saturn return is about reaping what you sow. So if you've been sowing in the wrong direction, Saturn's gonna, give you some negative stuff there. But most people, it's a little mix of positive and negative. So if you've been reaping a lot of good things over the past 30 years, Saturn can bring you a lot of blessings as well. So we're going to be looking in this reading at what Saturn's taking away, what Saturn's course correcting, as well as what blessings Saturn is bringing in for you. What rewards are you getting during your Saturn return? But anyway, long explanation and intro. I am exhausted from talking. So let's jump in. We have 4 groups today. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. As always, take as much time as you need to decide. For this one, please take a lot of time. Meditate first. Make sure you choose the right group. Pause the video, definitely. And make sure, yeah, just make sure you're choosing the right group, because these are heavy energies. You might hear some things you don't want to hear, so just make sure they are the right things that you don't want to hear. But anyway, once you've chosen which one feels like your pile, please click the corresponding timestamp in the description box below this video, and I will see you in just a second in your reading. Hi Group 1, and welcome. Today we are looking into your Saturn return. So I talked a lot about this in the intro, but I just want to briefly say this is a heavy reading. Saturn returns are about taking away things you don't necessarily want, and Saturn brings to light a lot of things you don't want to see about yourself. So if you're watching this and you don't necessarily want to hear anything bad, then this isn't the reading for you, or just press watch later and watch it when you're in a really strong mental emotional state, because Saturn returns are heavy. So we're going to be looking at a lot of different things, because Saturn returns, they're complicated, they're big energies. So we're first going to look at the primary energy here. We're going to be looking at what things Saturn is going to be course correcting, meaning what things Saturn's taking away from you during your Saturn return. We're also going to be looking at the blessings. What good things are you reaping during your Saturn return? What is Saturn rewarding you for? So yeah, we'll do that, and then we will get some advice at the end, especially if you are like me and in the thick of your return. Advice is helpful during this, because my Saturn return's been crazy so far, so we're gonna see how this year goes for me. But anyway, let's jump in here. Okay, so we are going to be looking at these energies in just a minute. These are your blessings and course corrections. But first, let's look at the primary energy of your Saturn return, Group 1. We have the Prince of Cups. We have the Seven of Cups. On these cards they say debauch. And the Four of Cups with luxury. So especially with the Four of Cups being associated with a luxury in the top deck here, this is telling me that this is probably a primary energy here. Your Saturn return is going to be kind of luxurious with these two cards here. Oh, and another thing I wanted to say before we really dive in here is that I've been feeling extremely dizzy before I started this reading, which always, I've noticed, means there's a lot of very, very powerful energies trying to communicate through me. It's like they've all come in, and the energy kind of overwhelms my system, makes me very lightheaded, very dizzy. So some of your guides are very, very powerfully here. I feel the need to mention that. And then we have two runes here. This first one goes with these cards to represent the primary energy of your Saturn return. And then this is kind of the end energy, the resulting energy from once you make it through this, and your blessings, really. Okay, so we have the rune Lagos here, which on a mundane level means lake, I believe, like a lake of water. It's very much connected to your emotions and psychic powers, which is actually interesting because we have all cups here. It's all about your water energy. And so it's not necessarily that some of you are water signs, but more if this has anything to do with your chart, some of you might have a north node or a south node in a water sign. But that's not so important here. What this is telling me is that your Saturn return, this is an emotional transformation, or even a psychic transformation, or even a straight up, very, very strong, powerful spiritual awakening for some of you. So for some of you, your Saturn return here, this could be about coming into your psychic abilities. For others of you, this could be coming into your emotions at all, okay? On the very extreme side of this, obviously this isn't going to apply to everybody, so please don't get angry at me. But for some of you, your past, before your Saturn return here, you might have been very, very disconnected from your emotions, not knowing what you feel, but also not being able to feel empathy. Like, I'm getting some of you, maybe it's just one person in this group, but for some of you, you might have actually been dealing with maybe like narcissistic personality disorder or sociopathy or something like that, where you were very, very disconnected from your emotions, your intuition, your everything. You were existing only in the 3D, and it was about manipulating the 3D world to get what you want. Again, like I said, this isn't for everybody, but for some people here, you didn't have any connection to your emotions, your empathy, your intuition, your psychic ability here. And what Saturn is actually bringing in is beautiful, because it is connecting you to your emotions. It is connecting you to your empathy and your psychic abilities. But yeah, for some of you, your past before this Saturn return was very much about just living for your own pleasure, living for what you wanted, and going through any means to get it. For some of you, you might have actually been, cheaters and thieves, or even making your money in kind of sneaky or illegal ways. Again, for some of you, but if you had a past like that, or a past you're really ashamed of, behaviors you're really embarrassed of, and you don't feel like you were a very good person in the past, what Saturn is bringing in here is emotional connection to yourself, to your spirit, that is so people that fall into those behaviors, kind of those sneaky, cheating, lying type of behaviors, it's because they're not connected to their empathy and their emotions. But Saturn's bringing that in for you here, okay? And if none of that resonated with you, what Saturn is bringing in is a deeper spiritual connection, okay? I'm seeing a psychic awakening, like your third eye opening. So yeah, and I feel like your third eye opening, deeper connections to other people, deeper connection to your spirit, your psychic abilities. But I feel honestly that this is going to happen in kind of a comfortable way, because I keep being drawn to the word luxury here. So the Four of Cups isn't always read as luxury, but in these Thoth cards they say luxury. So I feel like it's not going to be the most like external tower moments. For a lot of people, their Saturn returns brings in, like, it'll take away all the people in their life or their career or something like that. But I feel like yours is going to be a little more comfortable. But what's going to make it more difficult is if you resist the emotional and psychic changes coming in. That's always what makes your Saturn return more difficult, is resistance to it. But I feel like with the Seven of Cups here, it's also probably going to be bringing in more options. But you have to be willing that your Saturn return is very much an internal, a very big internal transformation here that is, I feel, going to leave you very much connected to your emotions. This card is deep emotional connection. It's love, it's happiness, and it's your psychic abilities and your intuition. So it's almost like an initiation into the spirit realm, really. This is very, very, very powerful, very, very much connecting to your emotions. So if you were like almost like I was saying before, like sociopathic, and you had no connection to your emotions or empathy, your Saturn return is going to bring this in, and it's going to feel powerful. It's going to feel extreme. For some of you, it might even be feeling happiness for the first time. For those of you that's not resonating and you've always had emotional connection, then this is going to be, just deeper. It's your psychic abilities coming out. And whew, this is so big. I feel like for some of you in your past, you were actually, maybe you were aware you had like strong psychic abilities or strong empathic abilities, but you always blocked them out. The Four of Cups is about drug usage and getting high. That's how I see that card a lot of the time. So a lot of you might have actually been like party animals, to be honest, living for the pleasure, living for the moment, and using substances, because substances don't let you always feel the negative stuff, especially if you are very naturally psychic. That's really difficult for you if you're young, especially, always absorbing people's negative emotions. So this could have manifested as you using drugs or alcohol, to be honest, substances to numb that, block it out, be partying all the time. But Saturn's gonna, if you've been doing that, Saturn's gonna find a way to cut that out for you during your return here. it's so you can connect to your emotion. Even if they're negative emotions, Saturn's going to force you to feel them. So if that's something you've been blocking out, is blocking out your emotions, ignoring them, whether it's through substance use or not. But if you've been, however you've been blocking it out, if you've been doing that, Saturn's going to take that away from you. And if you've been blocking out negative emotions for a long time, that's going to be a rough one. If I'm going to be honest with you, that's a rough one, because you have to, the Saturn return process is going to be you feeling emotions that you were blocking out before. But it's a beautiful process that you should go through and not resist. And all these drops here are making me think tears. So I do feel like some of you are dealing with that. You're going to cry out some of your emotions, but it's connecting you to spirit. It's connecting you to the psychic realm. So it's going to be very powerful and very worth it for you. So, okay, let's jump into what Saturn is course correcting. What Saturn is potentially taking away from you. Because it's not right for you. It's not your right path. So for you guys, we have Amarun with the known unknown. She is like a seer, a psychic. So that actually makes a ton of sense for what I was saying, because this, again, all this water and this rune, it's just all about your psychic abilities. Like everything is saying that. And then we have the fox. Okay, so this card is telling me a couple things Saturn might be taking away. Especially, this is what I was saying before. So if you were always blocking out your emotions, that's always blocking out your psychic abilities as well, because they're kind of the same energy. They're your water energy. They come from the same place. So Spirit's going to take away your ability to block it out, okay? And so a lot of you might have been very stuck in your mental energy if you were blocking out your emotions and your psychic abilities. Some of you might have been acting like know-it-alls all the time, to be honest, thinking you know everything. Saturn, in this case, is going to bring in a lot of things to show you, kind of humble you, that you're not a know-it-all, you don't know everything. But the beautiful part of that is, the whole point of this is to connect you to your intuition and inner wisdom, which means you'll end up knowing more. You'll be wiser after this Saturn return. But yeah, Saturn's going to take away anything blocking you from your water energy, your emotional energy. So the fox here, this is kind of what I was getting at in the beginning, and it only applies to some of you, I know, but some of you might have been kind of sneaky, kind of sly, kind of manipulative, using people even, or just using circumstances, operating only in your mental energy or your earthly energy, just trying to get stuff from other people, trying to, or not even caring if you hurt other people. Again, not for everybody, but someone really needs to hear this. So if you were sneaking, lying, cheating, did mention drugs, so selling drugs for some of you, but just kind of living a lifestyle where you just didn't really care if it hurt other people, almost an attitude of it doesn't matter if other people get hurt, because if they were stupid enough to get hurt, then that's their problem. They're dealing with that. But if you did have that kind of attitude, or were sneaking, or had a tendency to lie, these types of things, that is sorry, my neighbor is like staring out the window at me from across the street. It's maybe some of you actually, it's kind of creeping me out. Okay, he stopped. Maybe that's what it is. Like some of you weren't directly sneaking and lying, but you had a tendency to spy on other people or obsess over other people, just because you had to know everything mentally. Your ego had to know everything that was going on because it made you feel safer, it made you feel secure. Like if you have a tendency to stalk other people's social media, that kind of thing. These are the kind of energies, and energies disappearing here. This is what Saturn's going to take away from you. Is, if I had to sum it up for everyone in this group, because again, I'm trying to give examples for what it is for each different person, but I would sum it up as needing to mentally figure out everything. Okay, so you have to know everything, have this mental knowledge, but Saturn taking that away, because true knowledge comes from your intuition. It comes from your spiritual psychic side. So Saturn's going to find a way to make it so you don't know everything, and the mental, egoic, the mind. It's the whole point of the Saturn return is to take you out of your mind and trying to figure out everything from your mind. Some of you might even be air signs because of this, but trying to figure out everything in your mind and learning how to, the real knowledge, the intuition, that kind of thing. So Spirit, give us more details. What is Saturn taking away for group 1 here during their Saturn return? What is Saturn course correcting? Excuse me. So we have the Ace of Wands. We have the 9 of Coins, 9 of Pentacles, and the Hanged Man. So I feel like the Hanged Man speaks for itself. It's obvious. It's total change of your perspective from trying to get knowledge and understanding from the 3D, the physical, and turning it to where you're getting your knowledge from your intuition and your wisdom. I've been talking about that this whole time. So the 9 of Coins is interesting. So the Saturn return might bring a breakdown of your relationships for a lot of you in this group. And that's because any relationships you forged out of this previous energy, they're not going to be real. They're not going to be deep because they're not based in deep emotional union, deep emotional connection. It could be even codependency for some of you if you're stuck in this mental energy. So I'm seeing for some of you, this really, really might be a breakdown in your relationships just disappearing, falling apart. And if you cling to them, it's going to make it more difficult for this new energy to come in. Then as well, the Ace of Wands here. So what is Saturn taking away? Yeah, especially if your relationships were more physical or mental rather than emotional here. That this could be, some of you were only in relationships or with other people for the sex. So we might be taking that away. Spirit, can we clarify the Ace of Wands a little more, please? We have the Queen of Cups. So yeah, on this deck, especially the Queen of Cups, she's just kind of sitting here like bored and ignoring it. And she's about your intuition and your emotion and your empathy. So if your relationships were really just more physical rather than emotional connections, Saturn's definitely taking those away. So the 9 of Coins is independence. Some of you also might have been avoiding relationships, trying to be really independent, fear of commitment as well. In that case, your Saturn's going to start bringing in people to teach you how to connect on the emotional and spiritual level. So if you do have a some massive tower moments during your Saturn return, I do feel like for most of you, group 1, these are in relations to people. Not necessarily your career so much, unless it's the relationships to people within your job. Those might be taken away. But okay, so that's the bad stuff Saturn's taking away. Let's flip it over a little bit here and look at the blessings that Saturn's going to be bringing in during your return. Rewards for the positive things you've sown over the past 30 years. So give me just a second here to catch my breath. Okay, for you guys, we have Utharbrun. So this is the Tree of Fate. On these cards, they say decision, performance, and impact. But just the fact that it's the Tree of Fate here, this is telling me your Saturn return, and Saturn returns are about this for everybody, but you are it's going to connect you to your true path, like what you're meant to be doing, what your higher self is wanting you to be doing. Because if you were disconnected from your intuition and your emotions before, you couldn't actually receive any insight from the higher realms to guide you, to make sure you were on the right path. So that's obviously what's coming in here. And then for you guys, we had 2 cards wanting to come out. We have the rabbit and we have the owl. I hope these are fitting on the screen, but this is a big reading here. Okay, so the owl, very much about wisdom. So the owl is the air sign. There's a lot of mental energy and intelligence there. So it's not like you are losing any of that, because the fox is very sly, very intelligent as well. So I feel like you're still keeping all of that mental energy. None of that is disappearing. It just feels like you were, before your Saturn return, using it incorrectly in some way. But you're going to be connecting that mental energy to deeper spiritual wisdom that's going to, 1, put you on the right path that you were supposed to be. But then there's also something about speaking more. Some of you really might have been more subtle, subdued before this Saturn return. Not feeling like you could speak, or not wanting to give a lot of information away, or maybe even really shy for you. This is you speaking profoundly and truthfully. The phrase I hear a lot in spiritual communities is speaking your truth. So this might be a throat chakra awakening as well for some of you, not just a third eye. But what's coming through here is you're going to start speaking more. You're going to start communicating yourself more, like your true self. Very much your true self. So, what deck did I want to use here? Let's go with this one. Spirit, for group 1, what blessings are coming in? What blessings are coming in for during their Saturn return here, their Saturn return? Okay, so we have the 3 of Wands reversed. I'm not holding the deck upside down. Okay, so the 3 of Wands reversed. Spirit, what blessings are coming in for group? We have the Fool. Okay, that's kind of a beautiful energy. And we have the 5 of Pentacles. Spirit, please clarify the 5 of Pentacles. The 7 of Cups. Okay, so let's start here. The 3 of Wands reversed and the Fool. Okay, so these are kind of both cards about going down a new path. But with the 3 of Wands being reversed here, I feel like you're going to still kind of be going on the same path, because you were almost going the right direction before your Saturn return hits. But it's like a renewed sense of vision with the Fool here. Knowing that you're on the right path, being able to see clearly. I feel like before your Saturn return, it was pretty foggy. You could only see a few steps ahead, and maybe that's why some of you might have had a tendency to be either dishonest or obsessive. But that's changing here, because the fog's clearing and you can see way further down the path, because you have this psychic spiritual insight after your Saturn return. So it's like, it's also a renewed sense of optimism and hope. That's actually what I was seeing with the 5 of Pentacles here. Don't worry, this isn't about your coin. I don't feel like your Saturn return for most of you has to do with material stuff, like your job. I don't feel like anything bad's going to happen there unless you had really bad relationships in your career. But it's the butterfly here, okay? So it's a new hope. You're going to be charging down your path very happily, very optimistically. And yeah, for some of you, this is like, we have the 7 of Cups showing up twice here now. So this is, you have more options. I feel like because you can see more, see way further in front of you, you can see more of what's available to you to take basically any path you want. You can go down the same path, you can change it if you want, but you're not scared of it anymore after the Saturn return. Because this 5 of Pentacles is about worry. And I feel like you were scared. That's why we have the Seven of Cups to clarify it. So this is, you were scared before to look up because it was very uncertain before, but connected to your psychic wisdom now, it's not scary anymore. It's this Fool energy. It's hope. It's optimism. Some of you might actually be, with these two cards together, overwhelmed by the options you find revealed to you after your Saturn return. So maybe that's why we also have this rabbit energy as well, because the rabbit's a little... Okay, sorry, my microphone just fell down, so I had to fix that. But what I was saying is, some of the things coming in from this Saturn return, it might be a little bit of fear because you have so many choices now, but I feel like you're going to be hopeful about it. You're going to be really happy about it. You might just be a little overwhelmed by what you find is available to you, which is actually kind of a good problem to have. Okay, and then this second rune here is representing the blessing coming in, this new energy coming in, where you're going to be once this Saturn return energy has passed. And so for you guys, we have Ewas, which represents like a yew tree. So it's kind of about rebirth, growth. I feel like a lot of you are going to feel like a completely different person, especially if before this return you were kind of in that completely disconnected from your emotions kind of space. Completely disconnected from your psychic emotions. With that changing, you do feel like a brand new person. That's what the Fool is. It's a brand new person. It's a brand new start. You're being initiated into a new whole phase, way of being. I feel like it's going to change your whole life because it's changing your whole outlook. You're changing from the inside out. And it's exciting. Some of you are a little scared because it's new, but it's exciting at the same time, because fear and excitement kind of go together. So now I'm going to pull some advice cards for how to deal with this period, because this is, your Saturn return is a long, complicated period. You do start feeling the effects even a few years before it happens. I definitely have. So, Spirit, what advice do you have for group 1 in dealing with their Saturn return? What advice do you have? Okay, this one's definitely wanting to come out. Green. Your heart chakra. Green. So that's your emotional center. It's everything I've been talking about. So don't resist it. Don't react to this Saturn energy by closing up your heart and your emotions even more. You need to focus on opening that heart chakra, because the more you just comply with Saturn when the energies they come in, the easier it is to get through it, and the easier it is to welcome the new blessings coming in. Okay, so we have think before acting. I feel like if some of you, you had a tendency to be really, really obsessive before this Saturn return, you might have done some things you don't quite regret. So this is not necessarily saying think before acting. What I'm actually hearing is connect before acting. That's what you're learning here, is to connect to Spirit before acting. Don't just react. Don't just jump in, because whatever your issue is, there's a variety here, as I mentioned in the beginning. Like if you had codependency, it might have made you act in emotional ways that you regretted later. It's like if you just connect before acting, you're gonna act from a place of peace, from a place of wisdom, and that's what you're learning here. Okay, so we have breathe. So yeah, especially with a lot of this obsessive kind of energy I was picking up for some of you, this is kind of the same energy. You need to breathe, connect before acting, especially if you were dealing with anxiety a lot before. Or even if you, like I said, there's some fear coming in, even on the blessing side, because you're a little overwhelmed by the choices. Just the whole advice here is breathe and connect, and you will always end up in the right path, because you'll always take the right action. And Spirit, one more word of advice for group 1. So we have blue. Okay, that's also another thing I was talking about with the rabbit here, is this this throat chakra energy, this speaking your truth, this being able to communicate clearly. Focus on speaking, because one of your blessings coming through here is your ability to speak more clearly, your ability to speak your truth. And that's very important here. So we have 2 chakra colors coming through, but I was also getting, and both of these are written in purple as well. That's what I was about to say, is your third eye is opening. I feel like that is the main energy of your Saturn return here, group 1, is your third eye is genuinely opening. But if your third eye chakra was blocked before, that allows more energy to move through, down through your throat chakra and into your heart chakra, so you can feel. And I'm going to end your reading right here, group 1. I know this was heavy, I know this was long, but thank you so much for watching. If this resonated, please give this video a like and a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to check out my other videos as well. I will link some kind of similar videos down below. But anyway, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Hi group 2, and welcome. The topic for today's reading is your Saturn return. So I did mention this warning in the intro, but quite frankly, Saturn's a fucking bitch. This reading is going to get heavy, okay? You might hear some things you don't want to hear, so just make sure you're in a good place to hear it. But basically, we're going to look at the primary energies of your Saturn return so you can understand them better. We're going to be looking at what Saturn might be taking away from you, or what Saturn might be changing your course to. I call them course corrections. And we're also looking at the blessings you'll be reaping, because Saturn gives and takes. Your Saturn return is about reaping what you've put out for the previous 30 years. So for everyone, it's a mixed bag, typically. So yeah. A lot to go through. This is an in-depth reading, so just be prepared. Another thing I want to say is that I am getting so dizzy, and this happened in group 1 as well, but I took a break, got my vibration stable, but when I was just turned on the camera to start recording this, I got really lightheaded, I got really dizzy, and this happens when there are very, very powerful spiritual energies and guides coming through to talk through me, and I'm feeling it even stronger in this group than I did in group 1. So yeah, just so you know, some of your guides are very, very powerfully present to guide this reading. I'm even talking a little fast. That happens as well when they start jumping in. So these are your blessings and course corrections that we will look in a minute, but first we are going to look into the primary energy of your Saturn return. So this is going to help you understand everything that happens during this period of your life. So Saturn's a very long transit, and you feel the effects of these for many, many years. A few years before it actually happens, and then a few years after. I know I certainly have. I've been feeling the effects of mine for a couple years now. And my actual conjunction, my actual Saturn return is happening in about a month and a half. So I'm excited to see what happens for me then. But anyway, let's jump into your energies, group 2. So for you guys, your energies, we have the Knight of Swords. We have the Nine of Discs, which is the Nine of Pentacles. And on these cards, they say gain. And we also have the Devil. Ooh. Okay. All right. And then we have, I have 2 runes here. One is to go along with these for the primary energy of your reading. And then the second one will represent your final energy, the energy you're going to leave your Saturn return with, that you're kind of transforming into almost. And for you guys, we have Rido. Okay. Which is about, like taking a ride, basically a journey, a vehicle of some sort. Okay, so, there is so much coming through for this group 2. All right, so firstly with Rido and the Knight of Swords, I'm getting that your energies are going to come on swiftly. A lot of people feel their Saturn return in kind of a gradual process. Mine's kind of been that way, but for you guys, I feel like it's going to hit hard and it's going to hit fast. And if it's not that your Saturn return energies hit hard and fast, you might just have some hard and fast things to go through, okay? I honestly feel like this period might be characterized by some anger, to be honest. Some of you might have a lot of anger to release, and Saturn's going to force that upon you. There's like flying and movement here as well. These are looking like insect wings to me, dragonfly wings, which is interesting based on some of the other cards I know that are coming up for you that I saw. There's flight and motion. It's not just rapid motion. Some of you might actually be changing places of residence, like actually physically moving, being forced to change location with this Saturn return. And I say forced for those of you that are resisting it, okay? The more you resist Saturn's influences, the more difficult they are. So it's during your Saturn return, it's easiest to just kind of drop your ego and just allow Saturn's energies to do their work. It's way easier said than done, though, I know. Sorry, I keep saying I've been doing that a lot lately. Yeah, it's very sudden, very fast, and some of you are moving, but you're flying. It's like flying higher all of a sudden, which is a very good thing. Okay, so the Nine of Pentacles here, so gain. Some of you, through this Saturn return, you might be reaping some financial benefits here, which is wonderful. But, but, there's a big but here. What I'm seeing with this Nine of Pentacles and the Devil here is some of you have been dealing with codependency very strongly, and that is one of the things that Saturn is going to come through and up and fix from your life, is this codependency problem, okay? Because the Nine of Pentacles here this is about independence. This is about striking it out on your own. And the Devil is very much associated with codependence, emotional dependence on other people, obsessions, this kind of thing. So for some of you, this could be about Saturn taking away addictions as well, any type of addiction. So codependency is one. Substance addiction, you guys know what your problems are. But for most of you, I'm actually seeing codependency, not being able to come into this Nine of Pentacles energy, this independence. For some of you, you might have had trouble actually even holding a job or creating a stable career path. Saturn's going to come in and change that as well. But I feel like the primary energy for most people who chose this group is we're fixing this codependency problem in your relationships. And if you are really resisting that, really resisting becoming independent internally, it's going to be rough, okay? I feel like Saturn might bring in some difficult people to help you see this dependency problem you have, especially if you've been refusing to look at it. Saturn can really be a bitch in that way and bring in some not so great people, some devilish people, to force you to see this, to force you to adopt this independent energy. So yeah, but I mean, what's coming out of it though is this energy, this Nine of Pentacles, this independence, this self-sufficiency, and also material sufficiency. So especially for those of you who might have been financially dependent on others, Saturn's taking that away. Saturn's going to force you to learn how to work hard, be independent, make your own money. I know that doesn't apply for everybody, but if your codependency was affecting your financial stability, Saturn's going to fix that for you, which can be hard, but it's a good thing. You want that to be fixed. You want to be emotionally, financially capable and independent. Not saying that you have to be alone, okay? So the Nine of Pentacles is not about being alone, but it's being able to be secure in yourself, both emotionally, financially, all the ways. So I feel like your Saturn return is about your independence. And it's going to happen rapidly, and maybe in some bursts of anger even. So next we're going to look at what Saturn is taking away, how Saturn might shake things up for you, you know, the negative side of your transit. But we're also going to be looking at the positive, so don't be too scared, because Saturn brings blessings as well. Okay, so for you guys, we have Skady with ambition, and the hunt is what they say. She is a huntress. And we have the fire ant. So honestly, I forgot about this card. That is not why I was picking up anger from this Knight of Swords card, actually. So, yeah, this is just reconfirming this. Your Saturn return is going to be characterized by anger or emotional explosions of some sort. So this could actually be people getting angry at you, or the anger manifesting from yourself. Either way, it's going to manifest. That's what Saturn might do, because it might be the only way to shake you out of this, your obsessions, your codependency, your addictions. It might be the only way that they can reach you. I feel like it doesn't have to come out angrily and explosively. I just feel like for a lot of you in this group, that's just kind of what the universe has to do to get you to see it, almost. So it's like, if you haven't had your Saturn return yet, or you're younger than this, the message here is start seeing these now, so it doesn't have to come out explosively and quickly. It doesn't have to hit you fast and hard. But anger is a very fast and hard way to get you to see something, or to release maybe some of the pain that's keeping you in this addictive, codependent energy before this Saturn return, that's keeping you not independent. So yeah, for some of you, this might actually manifest with, you know, people getting mad at you, and it might even be unfair anger, but it's the universe manifesting this need, this frustration internally that you have that wants to be independent. Because before your Saturn return, there was a huge part of you just burning inside, not wanting to be codependent or just dependent on anybody or anything in general. So I feel like it's going to hit that way. That this might even be a series of people or bad relationships that are kind of explosive and angry and overly passionate, a lot of fighting. This could manifest that way. And then, let's see here. Yeah, I'm just kind of getting more harshness. So this could be a series of relationships or people that are like even narcissistic for some of you. People almost using your codependency. Because you know how I hear a lot of people talk about, you know, the narcissistic empath relationship, where like narcissistic people are kind of hunting out empathic people to take from, or codependent people to take from. So this could manifest in a series of relationships like that, where it's people just looking to hunt you down and use you. But this is happening so you can see this. You can see this lack of independence, but so this independence can emerge. This strength and security in yourself, it can emerge. For some of you, it might be, maybe you've had a pattern of this for a long time. These kind of angry, explosive relationships or people using you. Maybe you've had a pattern of this for a long time before your Saturn return. And that's why this energy here is movement. You're moving away from it. So it might be an explosion that finally gets you to out of, say, an abusive relationship or a codependent relationship. You're actually literally running from it for some of you. What deck? Spirit Group 2, their Saturn return. What is being course corrected? What is being torn down? What is being taken away? Okay, so we have the Two of Swords. So this is the unwillingness to look at something. That's what I keep saying. It's like an unwillingness to look at something inside. And that's why there's explosions. That's why there's anger. That's why there's toxic patterns in relationships. Saturn is basically taking away this Two of Swords. They're taking away your ability to avoid the problem, not make a decision, not be independent. This is also Two of Swords. It's like two people meeting in battle with swords. So This could also represent what I'm talking about is angry explosions with other people, battles. Spirit, what is group 2's Saturn return taking away? We have the 2 of Cups. So that's 2 2s here. So this is, you know, this is going to destabilize you. 2s are about your stability, your balance, really. So it might knock you down. Okay, Saturn does that. Saturn will knock you down, but this is also 2s here. They're about relationships, especially with the 2 of Cups. So your Saturn return, I feel like romantic relationships especially, this is being taken away. But if you, I feel like most people watching this probably are already dealing with this, so they understand that this is happening. But the whole point of this reading is this energy right here to help you understand why it's happening, and it's because this independence needs to emerge. Spirit, what is Saturn taking away? We have the Page of Swords. So pages are a little naive, right? So it's something about your naivety is being taken away or being brought to light here. But especially with the Swords energy, it's almost thinking you know everything, thinking you understand everything, especially thinking you understand everything or that you're communicating well in your relationships. I feel like that's going to be taken away. Like maybe your ability to communicate strongly in your relationships. But that's being taken away so you can see this problem. It's like you've been avoiding seeing a codependency problem that's not allowing you to be independent and financially stable. It has to take away that so you can see it. And again, if you don't, these things are harsher the more you resist. I feel the need to say that. Like it doesn't need to explode angrily. It doesn't need to fall down. It doesn't need to crumble. Nothing in our Saturn return has to be that way. It only turns out that way. It's worse the more we resist. It's worse the more we resist. So yeah, it's just like the more you're open to seeing these problems and the more you're open to change, the easier this is going to be. But okay, let's jump over to the blessing side. What blessings you will be reaping in your Saturn return here. Okay, so for you guys, we have Tyr, who is like the god of law. So this is very similar to the Justice card in Tarot. On these cards, they say conflict, counsel, and justice. So this is kind of similar to Saturn energy in general. We have this justice energy. Things you get back what you put out. So especially if you were in codependent relationships here. If you were giving too much and people were taking from you, people were abusing you, people were using you, you're going to get some fairness for that kindness or love you put out that you weren't getting back, because that's being balanced out here. Love being put out, if you put love out, love comes back. If you were on the other side of it, being kind of the more abusive, explosive, using one, that's what you're getting back here too. But this is on the blessing side, because I feel like those of you who chose this group, you were probably being used and being overgiving, and because of this self-sacrificing, because of this codependent issue. So I feel like that is any energies you put out into those relationships that were positive, that's what's coming back towards you. So if you gave a lot of love, you gave a lot of yourself, you're gonna receive a lot of it back from this Saturn return here. But you have to be open. It's just like being open makes this part easier. Being open makes the blessings come in more easily as well. And then we have the dragonfly, which is what I was talking about when on this Knight of Swords. He has like some wings. They look exactly like dragonfly wings. So this is things being brought to light. This is a deeper connection to your emotions, because it's like the dragonfly she makes it an air sign, right? The dragonfly, because it flies, but we have this the water symbol right here too, because the dragonfly is very much connected to our water energy, so our emotional energy. So this I'm seeing as you mentally understanding your emotions better, because if you mentally understand your emotional patterns and behavior, that's how you can move forward and avoid codependency, avoid abusive relationships, avoid financial dependence on others. Avoid explosive, angry outbursts if some of you are dealing with that. Or any emotional outburst, because you have this stronger mental understanding of your own emotions. So Spirit, what blessings are coming in for this Saturn return for group 2? What blessings are coming in? We have the Queen of Wands. Yes, she is independent. She is creatively expressive. She's attractive. She's passionate. This is who you're becoming. Absolutely. And the less you resist the energy and the transformations you have to go through, but this is your result. The Queen of Wands. Amazing. And it's all because you're more deeply connected to your emotions. You understand them better. You understand your own motivations better. Three of Cups, okay? So this is other people. This is friendships. This is community. I'm feeling like some of you are going to have stronger friendships, better relationships with people in general. Stronger relationships, like genuine ones. I feel like you're going to make better, more genuine connections with people. Spirit, what blessings are coming in for group 2? The Wheel of Fortune. Okay, yes. This is amazing, group 2. Okay, this is like what I was saying, that in this deck, the Nine of Pentacles says gain. Okay, financial gain. So I feel like when you learn a lot of financial independence, for some of you, this is massive transformation of your financial situation. You're going to be making a lot more money, a lot more stability. This is so beautiful. Beautiful group 2. Okay, and then the final, we're going to get some advice as well, but the final energy you're coming out of this Saturn return is the rune Urus. So this is very much connected to your earth energy, your physical body in particular, your strength, your endurance. So I feel like that's just yet another blessing coming through here. We have money, we have independence, we have friendships, deeper connections, but I feel like it's because you've learned to endure harder times. But this is physical health in your body as well is another one of your many blessings coming through. So a lot of you might have been dealing with some physical health problems. Not everybody, of course, but this is just an indicator that these are going to clear up. Your body's going to become stronger, healthier. Some of you might actually start running every day for some reason. That's coming through, but I know that doesn't apply to everybody. But it's like you're not trapping emotions inside anymore, because you have this, like I said, this mental understanding of yourself and your emotions, your deeper motivations, your subconscious. Your water energy is also about your subconscious. You've released it, you understand it better after this Saturn return, and so you don't bottle emotions inside, because when you bottle emotions inside, it affects your physical health as well. So that's why this rune is here, is to say you're also getting some physical health, you're getting some vibrance. So Spirit, can we get any advice for group 2 in dealing with this Saturn return? Any final words you have to say to them for group 2? So we have 111. I feel like this is just a reminder that whatever happens during this time period, it is in alignment with your purpose, and it might not feel like that, especially since this is kind of explosive for you, group 2. It really won't feel like it, but these ones are also feeling like a fast energy to me as well. I feel like your Saturn return to me feels like ripping off a band-aid. Mine has been slow and painful. I feel like yours, you have like this pain, but then maybe you guys just cope with it better than I am with mine. But yeah, I feel like it might be really painful all at once, but then it smooths out, and you reap all of these wonderful blessings. Spirit, Group 2, do you have any advice for them? Safety. So this is a specific message. Some of you, like I've been saying, we have this codependency problem, but for some of you it's manifested in genuinely like physically abusive relationships. So maybe that's why we have Urus here. Your physical safety was in danger at some point. So keep your safety a priority. If you are still dealing with some of this or some of these codependent abusive relationships, your safety is important, and your guides want to remind you of that if you are in something very abusive. Spirit, any advice for group 2? Pay attention, okay? This means your guides are trying to talk to you and you're not listening. But that's all they want me to say, is they are trying to talk to you and you're not listening. And one more card, please, Spirit, for group 2. 888. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so abundance is coming, okay? Whatever's happening here, it's in alignment with your path. They want you to be safe. They want you to pay attention to them. But look, abundance is coming. All these blessings are coming. Abundance of people and good relationships. Abundance of money. This is amazing, group 2. So I am going, oh, excuse me. I'm going to end your reading right here. I hope this resonated. If this did, if this was helpful, please give this video a like and a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye. Hi group 3, and welcome. Today's topic is your Saturn return. So your Saturn return is a pretty heavy topic, so for those of you who aren't really into maybe a heavier reading, or at least not right now, you can hit watch later and watch this when you're in a kind of a good space where maybe you can handle it. But these readings have been very interesting so far. So we're looking into what your Saturn return is bringing for you. So Saturn returns are notorious for shaking things up, causing tower moments, to taking away things you built if they weren't right for you. But your Saturn returns really about reaping what you sow. Okay, so if you have put out a lot of good things too, Saturn blesses you during this period too. So we're looking at both sides of this. What is Saturn shaking up, and what is Saturn blessing you with? So pretty in-depth reading today, so just buckle up, make sure you have the time and energy for it, but let's get started. So the first thing we're looking at is the overall energy of your Saturn return. And then we're going to be looking at the blessings and the, what do I keep calling them? Course corrections from Saturn. So first, your guys' energy, we have the Ace of Cups. So very emotional time, an emotional time for most of you in this group. We have the Three of Pentacles. This is telling me there is going to be career shakeups as well as shakeups with other people. And the Prince of Wands. So a lot of this, the energy for your Saturn return group 3, I feel like it might be teaching you to follow your passions. And act on your passions, maybe act on your emotions a little more. And then we have 2 runes here. So this rune goes with these cards to represent the overall energy of your Saturn return. And then this one will represent the energy you will be leaving your Saturn return with, what's coming in. So we'll look at that later. Okay, so this rune, Hagalaz. This is a chaotic rune. I'm not going to lie, group 3. So this represents chaos. On a mundane level, it represents like a hailstorm, like a really destructive storm. But to be honest, I'm not really feeling destructive energy here. This seems more like an explosion, like a volcano erupting. like bottled up things finally coming out. So if you are bottling up emotions, that's erupting here. If you were just bottling up passions or words or things you need to say, things you need to do, that's erupting here. Okay, and as I've been saying in all the groups, the more you resist Saturn's energies and what it's trying to bring to the surface here, not really bring to the surface, what Saturn's really doing during this influence, it's going to make it more rough on you. So group 3, if your Saturn return is characterized by an explosion of something, it's kind of like don't block what's coming out, if that makes sense. I feel like it's a lot of internal stuff coming out, but you know, our internal world manifests externally. So this could be eruptions in your relationship with people. And yeah, this 3 of Pentacles is definitely giving me some shakeups to your career, to your work environment. So, all right, let's move on to, first we're going to be looking at what Saturn is shaking up, what Saturn might be taking away from you during this transit. And yeah, well, I keep calling them course corrections. So when Saturn takes something away, it's not really punishing you so much. I know people describe your Saturn return as like a punishment for the past 30 years sometimes, but I see it as more, Saturn's kind of a bitch in that it will cause a tower moment, but it's for your benefit, right? If you built something up that wasn't right for you, that's what Saturn's taking away. That's what Saturn is shaking up. So keep in mind that, you know, some of these things are hard during your Saturn return, especially if it's manifests as a huge tower moment, losing your job or losing someone that you cared about. And the candle just went out. Okay. So for you guys, on what Saturn's taking away, we have Mani. On these cards, they say unresolved emotions, but this is the God personification of the moon. So it's very similar to the moon card. Again, so this is, again, something about emotions. Something about your emotional stability is being shaken up here, or erupting rather, since I am kind of seeing a volcano. And then we have the Firefly. Okay, so before this Saturn return, maybe you guys already had that instability. Maybe you weren't actually sticking in a stable career for long periods of time, or not. It's up, the Firefly is kind of like you're just attracted to the shiniest light, you know, and you change a lot. You're kind of mutable. You don't stick with something. It's like not sticking with something through completion. And that's something the Prince of Wands has trouble with sometimes. It's like taking action on your passions, but not like finishing it, not actually building. Not actually building something secure, because you just kind of, you act while you're passionate, but then you lose interest and then you move on to the next thing. And you're not really creating a lot of stability for yourself here. So Saturn is going to come in during your return to help you learn how to build that stability, or show you how over the past 30 years you weren't really building stability, not really building a solid foundation. Okay, I'm being drawn to the triangle on this 3 of Pentacles card. Like a triangle is a very stable, solid, structured kind of shape, but it feels like you, maybe for the past 30 years you weren't doing that. So Saturn's going to bring in some events, some people that are going to show you that, will show you what you've been sowing, which is not really focusing on something to completion. And with the fact that this Mani card, it says unresolved emotions, for some of you this might be because you're not addressing some emotions internally. You haven't actually resolved some emotions, and so it makes you almost afraid to complete something, afraid things are gonna tear down, afraid that things might get bad. If things go well, that they're just going to crash down and get bad. It is almost like the attitude you have before this Saturn return. So it's like Saturn's going to bring in events that force you to confront this. Force you to confront the fact that you haven't really stuck things out. Some of you might have a fear of commitment with the Firefly here. Excuse me. So Fear of commitment with people in romantic relationships, with friendships, with jobs. And you jump around a lot, you change a lot, you're flighty. So when you exist this way, let's see here. I'm gonna pull some more tarot here. Spirit, what is Saturn course correcting? What is Saturn shaking up here for group 3 during their Saturn return? Okay, so we have the Lovers. Okay, so this is very obvious. So some of you your romantic relationships might get shaken up. And I do want to say, if you feel like you haven't been fearing commitment in romantic relationships especially, Saturn might shake up your romantic relationships even if you don't fear commitment there, because you've been fearing commitment in other parts of your life, like your job, for instance. So if you've been, not really committing, sticking out to a job, or your projects or businesses you're starting, something like that, Saturn might manifest this in your relationships by shaking those up, shaking up the things you have been trying to build commitments in. But yeah, this is telling me your Saturn return is probably going to be characterized by, some problems in your romantic relationships. Not necessarily that it's like a marriage breaking up or anything like that, but any close relationships. So it doesn't have to be romantic, friendships even. Spirit, what is Saturn shaking up for group 3 during their Saturn return? So we have the 4 of Pentacles reversed. So yeah, 4 of Pentacles is like a solid, stable foundation. So it's like any foundations you have been trying to build, that's going to come crumbling down. Not necessarily, but Saturn might crumble down some of these things you've been trying to build, just because primarily the energy you've been putting out for the past 30 years has been this firefly energy. It's not sticking things out, it's going on to the next shiniest thing. But this is happening so Saturn can force you to confront this fear of commitment, or this could be unresolved emotions, definitely. Some unresolved emotions that are making you not really stick things out. Spirit, what is Saturn shaking up for group 3 during their Saturn return? So we have the Ace of Wands. So this is a variety of things. I feel like a lot of different things in your life are going to get shaken up during this period, group 3. So the Lovers, this is close connections with other people. The 4 of Pentacles, this is career. This is even your financial stability. If any of you were dealing with kind of stingy behavior before, Saturn's gonna bring in something to make you confront some stinginess, or any kind of vibrational hang-ups about money. That's gonna be confronted here. And if your career gets shaken up, it could be because you're not really going in the right direction career-wise that matches your passion, or matches why your soul actually wanted to incarnate here. Because with the Prince of Wands and this Ace of Wands here, this is like not following your passion. And your passion is always telling you what you're meant to be doing. And so if you've been ignoring that for the past 30 years and you've been building something that goes against that, Saturn's going to take that away, because that's what Saturn returns are for, is to get you back on the right path. For some of you, this Ace of Wands might even represent like sexual dysfunction of some kind during this period, or a block to your creativity. And it's like a temporary block to your sacral chakra, so your creativity or your sexuality, because you need to confront your behavior. You need to confront these unresolved emotions. That's coming through very strongly here, because this card does say unresolved emotions, but like I was saying, I am seeing a volcano in this energy. Something needs to erupt here. And if you're blocking it in, that will cause blockage in your spiritual energy flow as well. So yeah, I hate to say it, group 3, but it just looks like a lot of different things are going to be shaken up. But I feel like if you just kind of go with the flow of it and actually let your passions come out, let your emotions come out, then it's not going to be that bad. It's only going to be bad if you're resisting. So let's look at the blessing side of things though, okay? Saturn will shake things up negatively, as I keep saying, if you are on the wrong path. And it looks like, quite frankly, a lot of you were on the wrong path in terms of your relationship and or your career. For a lot of you, it's both. But I'm almost feeling like for a lot of you, this is being resolved quickly because you have a lot of internal insight into yourself. Like you realize why this is happening quickly. And it's the Ace of Cups is kind of giving me that energy. So then next we're looking at, you know, the good things you've been sowing for the last 30 years, what your Saturn return is going to bring you in terms of blessings. So for you guys, we have Fulla, Keeper of Secrets. To be honest though, this card is reminding me more of the Empress. That's like the energy coming off of this. I keep seeing it as the Empress card in tarot. And then we have the Elephant. So I feel like yeah, again, I feel like this rune represents like a destructive, chaotic time, but I don't feel like that's gonna last very long for you. As I keep saying, you just kind of have to let the eruption happen and then go with the flow of it. But I feel like with me seeing this as the Empress card, it's telling me this Saturn return for you, group 3, is actually going to be pretty flowy, pretty easy. Or if not, this is something you're going to be learning here. Is after your Saturn return, you're learning how to be kind of more gentle, go with the flow kind of person, and just kind of allow the blessings in, because that's what the Empress does. She just kind of chills and enjoys herself and lets the blessings flow to her. So again, the Elephant. This is very interesting with the Firefly on the other side, because this is telling me yet another lesson you're learning during your Saturn return period. And we'll draw more cards for the blessings here. But so the Firefly is unfocused. The Firefly doesn't stick things out. The Firefly doesn't just goes on to the next shiniest thing, as I keep saying. But the Elephant, I believe in her guidebook, Kim Kranz, this one of the things she uses to describe the elephant is one-pointed focus. So it's like during the Saturn return, it forces you to confront the fact that you haven't been focused, you haven't stuck things out, you haven't been committed. And what you're learning is to focus on something, actually complete things. Focus in on what it is, your goals, your desires, your mission. So I feel like it's almost like the Saturn return is going to be revealing that to you, because you're finally not afraid to stick something out anymore. So it's like one of the blessings coming from this is the lessons you're learning here. And I know that's not the best thing to hear ever, but I feel like after your Saturn return happens, you have a better understanding of who you are and what you want to do with your life. So let's pull some more tarot to look at your blessings coming in. What blessings are coming in for group 3 here, Spirit? Blessings during their Saturn return for group 3. So we have the 6 of Pentacles. Equal exchange is what I'm hearing. I know that's like a textbook meaning, but maybe someone needed to hear that. We have the Ace of Cups. That's the Ace of Cups twice now. And the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, that's... Firstly, the Knight of Pentacles is exactly what I was just saying. This is dedication to something. This is not being flighty about it. This is being willing to focus on something for a long period of time until you build a very strong foundation, and you build something very lasting. You've learned how to do this over the period of your Saturn return, because your Saturn return forced you to confront the fact that you were kind of flighty. You didn't really want to commit to things or build long term, but after your Saturn return, you've really learned this lesson, and you become more like this Knight of Pentacles. You're willing to put work in. You're willing to build something without being afraid it's going to crumble down anymore. Especially if your Saturn return forces something to crumble down, something you were building. You survived it during the Saturn return, so you're like, well, it doesn't matter if it crumbles down because I know I can survive it. I know I can do it again. I trust myself. There is something about trusting. You're learning how to trust your own intuition as well during this period. But for some of you, this Ace of Cups could even represent a new relationship, romantic even. So if Saturn does dissolve a relationship during this period and it crushes you, the reason for it is because something new and better and stronger is coming through. And it's not necessarily that it can't be with the same person as before, but there's a strengthening happening here. So if it was with the wrong person, you're finding a stronger relationship with someone way better. Or whatever happens here strengthens the existing relationship. But there's also, with these two cards, it's like an emotional balance happening here. So if there was unresolved emotions that needed to erupt during your Saturn return here, it's balancing out now. So you don't have to deal with eruptions or something underneath the surface forcing you to be kind of flighty like this firefly. And I feel like it's there's also like a new energy emerging in you, like this Knight of Pentacles energy, where you're willing to invest the time, put the slow, dedicated work in. I'm seeing that as well on this Six of Pentacles card, right? You're willing to put that long-term investment in, because the imagery on this card is like coins flowing down and making this little sprout grow. So it's like some of you might be actually investing your money into something long-term that's going to help you build as well. Like it's almost like Saturn might bring light to a good investment for you and show you where to invest your money that's going to help you long-term, because that's one of the things arising here for you, is a strong long-term vision that you didn't really have before. There was a lot of maybe a lack of clarity about the future before your Saturn return, but whatever happens here is forcing you to develop this long-term perspective. And be comfortable about it as well. So, okay, now we'll take a look at this rune and see the energy you're going to be emerging from your Saturn return with. And we'll also pull some advice cards as well, especially for those of you like me who are kind of in the middle of your Saturn return period. Because, yeah, it can be rough. Oh my god, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Okay, so this Awas rune, it's very, very similar in energy to this Lovers card. So it represents union. It also represents commitment. It represents, you know, everything that you were kind of not really wanting to address before, that I've been talking about this whole time. You're learning how to commit. You're learning how to build stronger relationships. You're learning how to have that long-term vision. Maybe even it also rules like long-term contracts, which also is kind of what the Six of Pentacles is making me think. Like a strong investment, a strong contract is coming out of this period that's going to make you feel really, really stable. So that could apply to your career, but also like your relationships, if this is about a marriage, because this rune very much rules marriage as well. So Spirit, do you have any advice for group 3 in dealing with their Saturn return here? Any advice for group 3? Okay, so we have create. So you're learning during this period not to be afraid of just acting on your passions, because if you were before just kind of drudging along in a career that didn't feel passionate to you, Saturn might tear that down because it wasn't in alignment with who your soul is. And maybe that's why it felt really difficult, or why you might have changed a lot, was because you're not actually acting on what your higher self is really telling you to be doing. So you should be creating. You should be creating during this period. You shouldn't be contracting. You shouldn't be afraid to try new things, afraid to build, afraid to act on your artistic passions and hobbies. So we have humor. So, as I was saying in the very beginning, this rune is about chaos and destruction, but as I was telling you, it didn't really feel like chaos and destruction to me. So I feel like a lot of you have enough self-understanding or understanding of what's going on during this period that you can take it kind of lightheartedly. So that makes Saturn's energies easier to manage, basically, when you have that kind of attitude towards it. So this is a reminder to, you know, if things get shaken up, relationships, career, take it lightheartedly, and it will flow by easier. Okay, so we have breathe. So this is also just more about connecting to your higher self and listening to what they have to say. Slow down sometimes. Don't panic, really. Just don't panic when these things happen, because they're just part of what you kind of need on your journey. So it's like, don't panic is really what they're kind of saying with that card. And then we have plan, which is exactly what I've been talking about this whole time. You know, this long-term vision you're developing over your Saturn return, learning how to really plan for the future, create strong investments in terms of both money and people. But you're going to emerge so strong, so connected, so committed after this period, group 3. So I think it's great. But I'm going to end your reading right here. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was interesting to at least somebody. If it did resonate, please give this video a like and a comment. I would appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Feel free to watch my other readings as well. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye! Hi group 4, and welcome. So the topic for today's reading is your Saturn return. So Saturn returns are heavy. This is going to be a pretty heavy reading, so just be prepared for that. Make sure you're in a good place. If you're not, you can hit watch later and then watch it when you're called to. I have felt guides and energies coming through really strongly here, so there are some strong messages to be communicated here, so I just want to make sure you're in a good place to hear them first. But anyway, so your Saturn return is a heavy time. Saturn is kind of a bitchy planet, but it's your Saturn return is here to help you. Despite the negative reputation Saturn gets, despite any bad shakeups or even major tower moments this period of your life might entail, it's really for your benefit, and that's what I'm hoping this reading will help us see here. These readings have been pretty intense so far, group 4, so we'll see what yours has to say. So we are first going to be looking at the overall energy of your Saturn return here, because I feel like this is the main thing that's going to help with kind of rationalizing, understanding why certain things might be happening for you during this period. Okay, if you have like if you're like me and you've been feeling the effects of this for a few years before the actual Saturn conjunction happens, you might be feeling pretty lost. So I want to help anyone that dealing with that, but Regardless, let's just jump in. I also want to say that for your group 4, these cards in particular are kind of different from the other groups, so I might read your group a little differently than I've read for everyone else. So we're first looking at the energy, and then we're going to be looking at what Saturn might be shaking up or taking away from your life, but also the blessings Saturn will bring in for you as well. It's kind of how I had been reading it, but we'll get to this in a second because it's a little weird for your group. But first, let's look at the primary energy here for your Saturn return. So for you guys, we have the Princess of Swords. We have the Ten of Swords. On the top deck, they call it Ruin. So I hope that doesn't scare some of you guys. Group 3 had something similar to this, and their reading turned out intense, but it's good in the end. And then we also have, on these cards, they call it Lust in the Thoth deck, but it's the same as the Lovers in traditional tarot. And then the rune to characterize this period for you, we have Dagas, which means daylight, daytime, awakening, brightness. And then this last rune will represent the energy you will be leaving your Saturn return with. Okay, so firstly, group 4, with the Princess of Swords and this Dagas rune, this is a lot of new ideas that are going to be coming to you, a lot of new ideas, new insights as well, being brought to light, new information. But unfortunately, group 4, what I'm feeling like is that this new information, it might hurt you, okay? It's going to feel like ruin. It's going to feel like a Ten of Swords moment, but the whole point of this reading is that it's not ruin, okay? That this might feel like something you've been building, working on, comes crumbling down. This is telling me, for a lot of you, group 4, or almost all of you, you might have some sort of tower moment, some real heartache for some of you, because with the Lust card or Lovers card here, this could be about a relationship breaking down because of some truth coming out. And I hate to say something so negative here, but this is what we're talking about in this reading. For a lot of you, your Saturn return might actually be about maybe finding out a partner was cheating on you, or just wasn't really an honest person in general. But this could, the Lovers card isn't always romantic relationships. This could be business partnership as well. Some sort of business partnership breaking down because of new information being brought to light here. Okay, but we have to keep in mind that, you know, Saturn brings these things to light so we stop going in the wrong direction, as I said in the beginning. So it's like if you were putting a lot of energy into a relationship or business or something, but it wasn't right for you, Saturn's going to take it away. But it's all so you can get back on track and bring something better. I'm seeing a lot of like feeling like you have to defend yourself as well. And I feel like for some of you who chose this group, you're like me, and you're kind of maybe in the middle of it right now. Like there might be a lot of, I'm seeing like a lot of talking about you, like behind your back, or maybe a lot of unfair rumors, a lot of unfair gossip, a lot of unfair negative things being said about you during this period. But it's really the point of this, or finding out about a lot of people who were just kind of backstabbing you. It looks like there's a lot of people. A lot of people, or I'm being told to say too many people. That might resonate for some of you. But it's like there's a lot about knowledge here. So a lot of it's knowledge and truths you don't necessarily want to hear, but Saturn's also bringing in like knowledge you need to hear as well. That's going to help you on the rest of your life. Okay, so we have the Lovers card here because what Saturn's wanting to bring in during this Saturn return, what Saturn's changing here is so you can be around better people, more loving people as well. I think it's interesting that in the Thoth deck, the Lovers is called lust. So it's almost like you might have just been before building with more lustful people rather than loving people. And I feel like that's kind of what Saturn's wanting to bring to light. So you can actually change something, make a change that will bring you loving people instead of lustful people, if that makes sense. But this Princess of Swords is also like, just her whole posture here. It's like she's fending off attacks. This could also be, if it's not like external attacks and people and things falling apart, but I do feel like for most of you who chose this group, it is kind of like that. There's some heartbreak here. There's some pain. There's some unfair rumors. There's gossip or something. But I feel like you're resisting. You don't want to hear it. You don't want things to change. You don't want these people or these business or whatever it is. You don't want this to fall away. So you're like resisting Saturn's change. But the more you resist the changes Saturn brings in, the harder it is. The more it feels like Ten of Swords, the more it feels like ruin. Oh, for some of you, you might actually be having like legal battles as well, and I'm so sorry. Like a lawsuit or a divorce for some of you. Yeah, group 4, your Saturn return is, I feel like, one of those really rough ones. So, but that's the point of this reading. We're trying to make sense of it, and the point, see the reason for why Saturn might be doing this. Okay, so the next part of the reading we were going to look at was what Saturn might be pulling away, taking away from your life, any tower moments, any things you were building that Saturn needs to course correct because they weren't the right course for you. And we're also going to look at the blessings Saturn brings in, because your Saturn return is about reaping what you sow. So if you're going in the wrong direction, Saturn's going to take some things away. But if over the past 30 years, but most people, they're also sowing a lot of good things. So Saturn brings in blessings for the good things that you sow as well. So we're looking at that. But as I mentioned, group 4, these cards are a little weird to me. So I think we're going to look at them both at the same time, which is different than how I did the other groups. And I'll show you why. So on what Saturn might be shaking up, course correcting here, we have Ymir with creativity, novel, artistic struggle are the words they put on this. But really, this dude is like a manifestor, like the magician. So he like combines elements to create new things. So like hot and cold, and creates from that. And then also what Saturn might be taking away or crumbling down, we have the Tiger, which is very, very powerful. I feel like you have a lot of power, a lot of very feminine power, a lot of strong manifesting power here. So I feel like with these two cards here, Saturn is forcing you to confront your own powers of manifestation and how you might have been incorrectly using those powers. And I feel like Saturn's doing this so you can learn how to use them, use these manifesting powers correctly, because you were using them to build the wrong things. But if you focus this very, very, very powerful manifesting energy in the right direction and stop putting it into the wrong people, the wrong business, the wrong ideas, just the wrong places, that's what Saturn wants you to do, is see how powerful of a manifestor you are, how you powerfully manifested these things that Saturn might be crumbling down before. That Saturn just wants you to see that they weren't the right things to put your energy into. Okay, and here is why it's a little weird here. So for you guys, we have Ehrman, the reconciliation of opposites is what they call it on this deck. So it's almost like the same thing. It's mixing energies here. It's mixing almost opposing energies to create something and understand something. And then the other thing here is we have another big, powerful, like, apex predator cat here. So honestly, on both sides of it, here for you, group 4, it's like the same thing. That's why I want to show them at the same time for your group. Because I feel like it's kind of illustrating the lesson you're learning here. It's like if there were bad things in your life, bad relationships, Saturn actually wants to show you that you created that. You manifested that. You actually did that. And it might be difficult to look at that. It might be difficult to see that. But Saturn wants you to see that that is just how powerful you are. Okay, group 4, you are my group of very, very powerful manifestors. You take opposing elements and you create amazing, very powerful things out of them. But you're not like losing that ability here. It might feel like that in the moment because things are crumbling down. But it's like you need to, during this period, draw upon these very, very powerful energies, your very, very powerful manifestation abilities, to kind of get yourself out of this, just to kind of see how strong you are. And if you fight off the changes, that's resisting your own power. Excuse me. That didn't make any sense, resisting your own power. It's like if you're resisting the changes, kind of like how this Princess of Swords looks like she's doing right here. It's you're doing that because you feel like it's an external attack, and you know Saturn is an external energy that's coming in to affect you, but really you're creating everything in your life, and Saturn's wanting you to see that. Saturn's wanting to see that you are this powerful manifestor, that you are this apex predator cat, and this isn't changing. Who you are, your power, your strength is not changing. There's also a little bit of a transformation from being maybe a little more in your feminine energy towards maybe your masculine energy here. But yeah, Saturn's just wanting to show you how powerful you are, and how you can get yourself out of the situation, even if it feels like ruin, even if it feels hopeless. Even if it feels like your heart is breaking. Even if it feels unfair. Saturn's wanting you to see that you are this powerful manifestor. It's not just Saturn here. Your guides are coming in very strongly here to communicate this. And it's like they know you don't really want to hear this for some of you. But it's like you need to hear it. You need to hear that you can get yourself out of whatever is happening during this period. Another thing here is that there's like all these beams coming out of his head here. So I feel like one of the things you're learning in this period, as I was saying, is to focus your powerful energies into something more spiritually guided. With knowledge coming from the cosmos, from the higher realms. So this might be a period of your life where you're really, really opening your crown chakra to these higher spiritual influences here. Okay, so I want to get a little more specific on each side still, like I have in the other groups. So Spirit, for group 4 here, what might Saturn be taking away during this period? What is Saturn shaking up? What is Saturn shaking up for group 4? Okay, we have the Knight of Coins. So again, this is, for a lot of you, that this might be towards your career, or it was just something you were building for a long time. Ooh. So this is also kind of what I was saying. I don't know how well you can see the imagery on this card, but there's like this one dude lying on the ground, like he got knocked off his horse, and this other dude's like holding up the coin. It feels like someone took the coin away from him and like took credit for something he did. So that might be happening for some of you during this period. Someone's just like stealing things from you and taking credit for what you did. But the Knight of Coins in general, for most of you, because that's very specific, that seems like a career shakeup, like something you were working on for a long time gets kind of torn down. And again, it's because you're a very powerful manifestor, but you were focusing it in the wrong direction, and they want you to learn what direction by opening your crown chakra and getting your higher guidance, accessing that a little more strongly. Or for the first time for some of you. Spirit, what might Saturn be shaking up for group 4? We have the Two of Cups. So again, it's like this card. Relationships, so career relationships. This is a pretty classic Saturn return for you, group 4. It's just a lot of things being shaken up. And we have the Nine of Coins. So yeah, your financial stability, your independence, it's feeling threatened here. It's feeling unstable. It's feeling like unfair to me is honestly this energy. It feels unfair, like a lot of unfair situations happening for you. But again, it's your guides are wanting me to reiterate that you created this situation. And it's like some of you don't want to hear that, but if you accept that and learn to see that, that's what's going to help you learn how to create better situations for yourself after this. So let's look at your blessings now. What good things will the Saturn return be bringing in for group 4? Please, Spirit. What good things? What blessings? Okay, so we have death. And again, this doesn't feel like a good thing, as I've been saying. It feels like ruin to you. It feels like despair. It feels hopeless. But the death of certain things in your life, certain negative people being taken out of your life, things that weren't right for you, this is actually a blessing. It's a blessing in disguise. It's always painful to hear that. No one wants to hear blessing in disguise, but that's what this death card is telling me. It's so you can transform, rise out of the ashes like this phoenix. And I'm sorry, my voice is still a little messed up from being sick. Okay, Spirit, what blessings are coming in for group 4 during their Saturn return? What good things are they reaping? We have the Six of Cups. Children for some of you. And then the Queen of Cups. Wow, that's lovely. Okay, so the Six of Cups, I want to say this is very, very specific for somebody. But as I was saying, there's some kind of legal battle going on for at least one person here. And it might be a divorce proceedings for somebody. So if you're worried about custody of your children, this is telling me you're getting the custody. You're still going to have your children in your life. I know that's very specific, but that's a message for somebody here. There's also this, there's this psychic cosmic insight that I'm seeing as well. You really are learning how to focus your manifestation energies more powerfully in the right direction here. You're learning how to listen. Your crown chakra is being very, very powerfully activated here, group 4. Very, very powerfully. I feel like some of you actually have a major mission, like a major life purpose that you actually need to fulfill. And whatever you were doing before was distracting you from it. You have a major, major mission that you need to see and you need to access and you need to listen. Because 1, it's going to be more fulfilling for you, but 2, it's very important, is what I'm hearing. It's very important for like somebody or something, or maybe even the world at large for some of you. And the Queen of Cups, okay, I feel like this is more love and empathy coming your way. So especially if you resonated with the situation I was talking about in the beginning, where maybe you found out someone was cheating on you or not totally honest, or you were just with somebody who was more lustful rather than loving, or a series of people like that, more empathetic people are coming in, more understanding, more loving people, more people like the Queen of Cups, really. People that understand you, people that validate you, people that genuinely care about you, not two-faced people, not fake people, not people that are gonna backstab you, not people that are gonna talk about you behind your back. Okay, this is real love. This is deep, real love, real caring, genuine people. Okay, and then so the energy you're going to be emerging from the Saturn return with. We have Othala. So Othala is the rune of family. It's the rune of heritage. It's the rune of your ancestors. So I feel like this is telling me like stronger family bonds. Again, stronger bonds with people here. But also, this rune's about legacy to me, and I feel like this came up in a more recent reading as well, so I don't know if it's some of the same people choosing this group as in a different reading, but like legacy. Some of you, again, as I was saying, you have a very, very important mission. You have a legacy to leave. You have something very, very strong to build, and you are building the wrong thing. That's why both sides of this look so fucking similar. You're still strong. You're still powerful. You are still amazing. You were just pointed in the wrong direction, and you have a very, very important purpose. So that needs to be revealed to you during this time of your life, and that's why we have Dagas here. This is the rune of bringing things to light. So I feel like for you group 4, your very, very important life mission, your life purpose is being revealed to you during your Saturn return, and you're actually going to start building in the right direction here. Okay, Spirit, do you have any advice for group 4 in dealing with their Saturn return? Any advice for them? Final words. Create. I think this just came up in group 3 as well. Okay, so it's like, don't, even though a lot of things are falling down for you in this period, group 4, this is a reminder to not let it get you down, not make you feel like you're worthless, or if you keep creating, you keep building, you keep manifesting, that it's going to be torn down again, because that's not what the lesson here is. It's not that if you build something, it's being taken away. It's just that you were in the wrong direction. So this is them reminding you, you still need to create, you still need to build, you still need to be your extremely powerful, like, large apex predator cat energy. You need this. You are this. Don't forget that. Don't forget that, because that's not the lesson here. Okay, Spirit, what advice do you have for group 4 during their Saturn return here? They're being really picky about which cards come out for you. Okay, so we have watch your intake. So yeah, for some of you, because this period might be really hard for some of you, you might want to fall back on old habits, whatever they are, where you are indulging in things that are unhealthy, just to kind of cope with the situation. And it's like, don't let that become part of your personality. Don't fall into addictive behavior patterns. And it's like they understand that, you know, the situation's hard, but like don't become addicted to junk food or other substances, whatever your tendency might be. Because it's hard, but your guides are still there to support you. Because like I said, your mission is powerful, very, very important. They want me to keep stressing the importance of your mission. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I keep seeing an exclamation point on this card. That's what it's looking like to me, even though I don't think on a 3D level that looks like an exclamation point at all, but it's like, this is important. Okay, we have overcome. It's like a reminder that you can overcome this. We've been talking about this the whole time, and I know it hurts and it might be really hard for some of you during this period, but it's like you have the strength within you. You are this. And one last card, please, Spirit, for group 4. We have 222. Okay, so this is about partnership, okay? So there are partnerships, I feel, for most of you being broken down in this Saturn return for you. Relationships with people, but they want you to know that 1, they're there with you, even if you feel alone, but 2, it's still coming in. It's going to be coming in by the end of your Saturn return period, or, you know, at some point after it, because better, stronger relationships too. There's going to be a lot of really good people in your life, really, really good people that are going to come in and support you and help you. But anyway, group 4, I'm going to end your reading right here. I know this was heavy, I know it was intense, but I really hope it was helpful for somebody. If this was helpful or if it resonated, please give this video a like and a comment. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Feel free to watch my other videos as well, and I look forward to seeing you in my next reading. Bye!